We often associate intelligence work with high-stakes shootouts and hidden gadgets, but the day-to-day operation of modern agencies happens inside office cubicles, governed by administrative protocols and data analysis. The public face of Western intelligence is built on information gathering. Former leaders of the UK's MI6 state that their mission is to inform the Prime Minister, explicitly separating their work from military or lethal operations. This counter-tracks a different approach. Since its founding in 1948, Israel's intelligence agencies have carried out an estimated 2,700 state-sanctioned targeted killings. Israel is a democratic state, bound by a legal framework. This raises the question of how a nation governed by the rule of law justifies and processes extrajudicial killings at this volume. Israel processes these operations through a regulated political bureaucracy. Every mission is tied to a final, physical document known as the Red Page. The justification for this system traces to a specific Talmudic ethos, often cited by operatives. If someone comes to kill you, rise and kill him first. That philosophy became active policy after September 1972. During the Munich Olympics, a Palestinian militant group took hostage and eventually massacred 11 Israeli athletes. Following the attack, Prime Minister Golda Meir shifted Mossad's primary focus. She authorized her intelligence agencies to proactively hunt the perpetrators across international borders. Other democratic states have faced similar pressures. In 1977, the Japanese government surrendered to terrorists who hijacked a Japan Airlines flight in Dhaka, releasing prisoners and paying a massive ransom. In the wake of that event, Japanese police secretly formed the Special Assault Team. This unit was trained specifically for lethal elimination in scenarios where standard arrest tactics were deemed insufficient. These cases suggest that when a democratic state faces extreme public trauma, the government may seek ways to bypass traditional justice systems in favor of preemptive force. This chart shows the personnel required to maintain that system. Israel employs roughly 20,000 intelligence staff for a population of 9 million. If Japan operated at that same ratio, it would require 260,000 intelligence officers, more than its entire active military. This network relies on human assets to gather initial targeting data. Operatives like Eli Cohen embedded themselves in foreign nations for years, building relationships with high-ranking military leadership to gain access to restricted information. Human intelligence provides the logistical details needed for a strike. Agents relay coordinates of defensive trenches, troop deployments, and the daily movements of specific individuals back to headquarters. Once a target is identified, the administrative process begins. A field agent compiles a dossier detailing the threat level and the tactical necessity of an elimination. The dossier is escalated for review. The heads of Mossad or the Internal Security Service, Shin Bet, evaluate the intelligence and the potential diplomatic consequences of the operation. If approved, the dossier becomes a red page. For the mission to proceed, the Prime Minister must provide a personal signature, making the head of state the final arbiter of every kill. Early Mossad operations were rare, surgical strikes against specific high-value targets, often separated by months of planning. This changed during the Intifadas in the early 2000s. Facing a wave of domestic bombings, the government shifted the mission to the Internal Security Service, Shin Bet, utilizing targeted killings as a primary defensive tool. Prime Minister Ariel Sharon gave Shin Bet broad authority to dismantle militant networks. He instructed the agency to target the leadership ranks of these organizations directly. Drone technology allowed the agency to increase the frequency of these strikes. Processing targets through a standardized pipeline resulted in a sharp rise in numbers, with 135 killings recorded in 2003 alone. The administrative efficiency of the Red Page altered the nature of the policy. What began as a rare exception moved into high-frequency use, processed through the same channels as other government tasks. With thousands of operations completed, the question remains whether a systematic elimination campaign has achieved its goal of long-term security. Intelligence leaders note a difficult internal paradox. In regions lacking the power to make arrests, the state requires them to act simultaneously as investigators, judges, and executioners. This chart illustrates the Hydra effect. When senior leaders are removed, the vacuum is filled by multiple successors. This shift frequently led to more militant factions. As older PLO figures were eliminated, they were replaced by younger, radicalized figures from groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. The red page provides an administrative response to immediate threats. However, the data suggests this process can create a cycle where lethal force becomes a recurring necessity rather than a permanent solution.